Good evening, class. I'm about to show you the basics of podcasting with Audacity. Everything I'm about to show you, you're going to need to know tomorrow in class when you do your podcasts for your book summary QR code shelf talkers. If you would prefer to use screen-grabbed images and written text, you can also find this tutorial on the library webpage under Podcasting with Audacity. Are you ready to begin? To open Audacity, double-click the Audacity logo on your desktop. The main buttons you're going to be using in Audacity are pause, play, stop, skip to start, which is like rewind, skip to end, which is like fast forward, and record. When we begin recording, you're going to notice that a waveform is going to appear when we start talking. And you'll see as soon as I hit this record button and I begin talking. One night, not long ago, a man found himself collapsed in a hallway, clutching his leg like a wounded bear. Okay, so I've hit the pause button now up here. You can also use stop when you're ready to finish your podcast or when you want to take a break for some reason. I want to go back now and show you how to get rid of that cough that I put in there in case you need to edit out ums or coughs or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning. I have to unpause it first. I'm going to go back to the start and I'm going to play it. One night, not long ago, a man found himself collapsed in a hallway. Okay, so we know that this is the area in here where my cough is. So I can do a couple of things. I can select it with this little selection tool up here, and then I can use the zoom button, and that'll zoom in. And that way I can really fine tune it. And I can use this playback button to make sure that that's the part that I want to get out. Now with my little section highlighted, I'm going to go up here and hit the cut tool, and it's going to get rid of it completely. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and play it. One night, not long ago, a man found himself... Some of the other tools that are really handy for you to know are, besides the cut tool, we have this is the trim tool. And this one here, when you select a piece and then you hit trim, it cuts away everything but what you had selected. This is an important tool here. This is undo. Undo is always your friend. If you make a mistake, you hit edit undo or just undo button up here. This button over here, which is called silence, is the exact opposite of the trim button. So again, we have that same area selected, and when we hit silence, it gets rid of everything inside the button. So again, with trim, it gets rid of everything on the outside, and with silence, it gets rid of whatever on the inside. That's a little bit different than cut because cut actually truncated the file itself. The silence button actually leaves that space still in there and just leaves it silent. And again, we have the zoom in tools so that you can really get in and see the detail of your file in case there was a little in there that you wanted to get rid of. You'd be able to zoom in really closely like that. Some other interesting things to adding effects is up in this area here, the effects drop-down menu. Again, if you have a section that you want selected, you can come in here, and if you didn't think the sound was loud enough, maybe you started out too loud or you got too quiet, you can hit amplify and you can turn things up and down. Not long ago. And you can see how it'll give you a preview of how much louder it will be and that type of thing. There's also echoes and fading in and fading out and noise removal in case there was some kind of hissing in the background, wah-wah sounds and things like that. Please be careful with these though, because you could certainly make your project unlistenable by adding way too many effects. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how to add music in the event that you want to add some introduction music to your podcast. So you would do that by going to File, Import, Audio. On my computer, it's going to be in a different section than where you're going to find it, but of course you would save it from copyright-free music. There's some links on the library website, and you could save it into your music folders just so you know where it is, and then come in and grab the music, open it up, and bring it in. This is going to be a really long song, so I'm going to want to edit most of it out. So I'm going to again grab this because this is now the second file is my music song. It's called Turning Point. This up here is my spoken, the script that I had done. Or it wasn't really a script, it was just a few words. I'm going to delete all that music and then I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm working with. And now I have my music and we're going to see what this sounds like. I've skipped back to the start and I'm going to play it. And of course, that sounds awful. You don't want to have the music over what you're saying. And so we need to move the music to before the spoken part. So what we're going to do is come in and grab this thing here. It's called the time shift tool. And we're going to come down to the music section and we're going to pull it forward. And we're going to move this back. So I now have the music that I'm pulling forward and the spoken part that I'm pulling back. And another thing I'm going to do with the music is I'm going to go get my selection tool again. And then I'm going to grab this, all this back end of it. And I'm going to say Effect, Fade Out. And you can see how it's fading out. And I still don't think that's probably going to be enough. But let's listen to what we have so far. Okay, so you can see it still needs to be faded out. When you've played around with your background music and narration, and you've gotten it just right, then it's time to save your project as an MP3 file. You go to File, Export Audio, make sure you change the name of your file, and then down here in the drop-down menu, make sure it says MP3. Mine defaulted as MP3, but a lot of times I see it default as a WAV file, and it needs to be MP3 to share it with me. So choose MP3, choose Save, make sure you're saving it in the right spot, choose Save. It's going to tell you that it's going to collapse all the channels, and that's fine, that's what you want, so you hit OK. And then you have the option of filling in these little boxes here, but we never do. We're just going to hit OK, and then it's going to export your file. Bring your completed scripts to class tomorrow, and we'll begin recording your Book Talk podcasts. And don't worry, I'll be available tomorrow to help you out.